So first things first, the first two questions I believe are questions we have talked about, so I'm not going to put a lot of time for that on. So just asking you, explain using examples the difference between a free good and an economic good. How would you answer that? And if you answer this question right now, what's the mark you think you'll get? Will you be able to get all four, or what is it? All four. Nice. You can't get any less because you have done this thing, or you have gone through questions about free good and economic good so many times, right? So you can't miss out. Right. So this is how it's going to be. When you are writing an answer for a question like this, explain using example a free good and an economic good. So first of all, you have to remember this. Here, they are not asking you to just say what is a free good, what is an economic good. Two things here. You have to explain the difference between these two. And how are you supposed to explain this? By giving examples. You can't miss the examples. If you miss, you might miss the mark for that. That means you'll get maybe 2 or 3, but you won't get the whole complete marks if you don't give examples for both free good and an economic good. So that is important because they are asking you to explain using examples the difference between a free good and an economic good. So first of all, you start with the definition of free good and economic good, right? Which is simply put, free goods are what? Goods which have no resource cost, no opportunity cost in production, available unlimited, and available price. That is what a free good is. I have given actually 4 characteristics in the definition itself. If you want, you can break it down and write all 4 as different points also. In the meantime, for economic good, they are goods which have resource usage, which have opportunity cost in production, which are limited in availability, and they have a price, but the price can be 0. So when you are giving differences, you can say each of the differences in single points, or you can give a big definition for free good including all the differences, and then give an example for what is a free good. So for free good, what are the examples you'll give? Right, and rivalry in consumption also, I missed that. For free good, there's no rivalry. For economic good, there is. For free good, give me 2 examples. The most we use: air and sunlight. Someone has unmuted themselves, so you're muted unless you're asking a question or something. For economic good, give me 2 examples. Yes, Inusha, you can. Soap, phones, laptops, books, bottle, anything that you see around you would be an economic good. So that's it, right? They are giving you 4 marks, so at least you need to write 3 differences. One difference would get you 1 mark, and then you'll be giving the examples. No, that will get you 1 mark. So in that way, you'll be getting the whole 4 marks here. 3 differences, that means 3 points showing the difference non-economic goods, and the examples would get you 1 additional mark, in total 4. And then the next question, again, that is a question I think we have done before. Have we done that? Explain the concept of opportunity cost and how it relates to scarcity. I took the whole thing from I think 2015 A-level paper. That's why I didn't remove anything. Just put the whole thing here so that you'll know this is how the question comes, right? Yeah, so this is a question we have done before, so I'm not going to put any more time into that. This is one very good question. Do you think you know the answer for this? Describe using PPC how economies can grow faster if they are willing to cut back on current consumption. Any idea what this question is talking about? And do you think you can answer this question if you got this for the first time in your A-level?
By only increasing capital good while consumer goods being static, we can show the growth of future without considering the current.
Okay, that is very good. But you have to be a little more, you have to give some more detail there. Your answer is there. You have the foundation. You have to build up on it a little better, right? Anyone else who has the answer? Very good. I think the one who answered is Honeys. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Very good, Honeys. Anyone else? Okay, the crow is back, I think. Right. So I'll start. Describe using production possibilities curves how economies can grow faster if they are willing to cut back on current consumption. Now, remember, you have to draw production possibility curves to show this. You can't just write and get away with it. You have to write the description of how this can happen plus show it on a PPC. So this is how it's going to be, right? Let me go to the whiteboard now. Now, first of all, according to the question, they are saying if we cut back on current consumption, how can economies grow faster? How can economies grow faster? So you have to put up an argument here. And that goes like this and explain through PPCs, drawing PPCs. So let me start with that. So normally a PPC, you would start like this. Let's draw an increasing opportunity cost PPC, something like this. So this is the first PPC. My first question, when you are drawing the PPC, here you have to put two goods now. Based on the question they have asked, what are the goods you'll be putting in both these axes? What do you think should be put?
Consumer goods and capital goods.
Consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods here and capital goods here. Right. And now here I'm gonna explain something and then explain the answer. Okay, first I'll explain the theory behind this question that we are going to talk about. So this is how it works. In an economy, you can make consumer goods or capital goods. First, you need to know what is a consumer good and what is a capital good. So any idea what is this consumer good? At least give examples of consumer goods. You might have learned this in business studies, or if you have learned this part Obviously, you might have come across the definitions. Very good, Anjali. Consumer goods simply are the goods which are used for final consumption. That means then capital goods are what?
Goods produced to produce goods.
Very good. Goods produced to produce goods. They are called the capital goods. So consumer goods example would be any product that you use, bread, you eat it, and then soaps, you use to wash stuff, and then fried rice or something, again, you eat it, shirts, you wear it. So they are consumer goods. They don't produce anything. Capital goods are like machineries, right? Buildings, cars, road, yes, they are used for production stuff, to produce something. So that's the difference between consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods are used for consumption purposes, whereas capital goods stuff. Now, if a country, let's say, uses majority of their resources, right? Uses majority of their resources to produce consumer goods, right? If a country uses majority of their resources to produce consumer goods, and only a little is used to produce capital goods. So you can see here, this country right now, I have marked the point where we produce a huge quantity of consumer goods and only a little capital goods. If a country does this, what do you think? Does it have a very big, huge growth potential or not? They have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, everything is there, but they are putting almost all their resources for consumer goods production, whereas for capital goods, only a little allocated, only. Okay, good. Let's call this point A. And let's say the country is allocating, let's say here, point B. In that case, they are producing more capital goods and only a smaller quantity of consumer goods. Now, if I rephrase my question like this, point A combination, point B combination, there are two combinations shown in on the PPC. Out of these two, the country would see a higher, better growth potential if they go with which combination, A or B? B. What is the logic behind that? Why are they seeing a higher growth potential if they produce more capital and less consumer goods? Why do you think it's happening like that? It's just like how, let's say, for example, if you get 1 million rupee lottery or something, someone is gifting you 1 million, or let's say 10 million, right? Just imagination, or we'll say 10 million. When you get that 10 million and you use it to just go on a trip and eat stuff and buy clothes and all, and you finish all 10 million by just using it for fun and consumption activities, you won't have much of a growth potential there. The 10 million will be over right now, given Sri Lanka, in a month you can finish it, and after that no money left, so no growth potential. But if you get that 10 million and you invest about 9 million into some building or some business, right? And then only the rest 1 million you are using it for consumption and enjoyment activities, entertainment and stuff. Now you will have a huge growth potential, right? Same happens to a country, where if a country uses its resources mostly for production of consumer goods, then what's going to happen is their growth will be limited, because you have used all your land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship to make clothes, food. What will happen? You will wear the clothes and then you'll eat all the food and done. Resources are done, and there's no growth potential there. If the economy grows, it will grow only a little. There can be a very marginal growth happens. There can be a growth, but it will be a very small growth. But on the other hand, if the country is using majority of its resources to produce capital stuff, and for consumption they are allocating only a little, then what will happen? The growth potential will be huge. Why? Because all the resources are used for what? To build airports, highways, buildings, machinery. So right now, we have allocated the resources for capital goods. So right now we won't have much to eat, much to wear, right? Much to consume. But in the future, we can produce stuff with little resources. Why? Because all the capital goods are there, the machines and the infrastructure, everything is already there. Now to make stuff, all you need is very small quantities of raw materials and resources. That's why a country which cuts back on consumer good production, or a country which cuts back on consumption, implements or puts all the resources for capital production, would see a huge growth. Now, we'll talk about the structure of your answer. Your answer, you can draw two graphs like this and explain, or in just one graph, you'll have to show both these. I think drawing two graphs would be a little simpler for you. This is how it works. First, you can draw this one that I have drawn, showing that point A, as you can see, is showing consumer goods are produced more, capital goods are produced less. You'll have to write a description also, where you'll have to say, if a country allocates more resources towards consumer goods and lesser quantity of resources towards capital goods production, their growth will be very marginal or none at all. The country might see a very small growth or no growth at all. Whereas for the next one, you'll have to draw the second graph, the second PPC, and then say what? If a country allocates more resources towards capital consumption and less towards consumer goods production, what's going to happen? We'll be able to see a huge potential growth. That's all you have to give for this question. So, like I said, two PPCs, and then you'll have to give a small caption for each of the PPCs. Is that okay? Do you think it's doable, or is it too much? And also remember, we'll have to mark the PPCs properly. So the first one was PPC, no? So the second one, we'll call it PPC 2 or PPC 1, or you can call it future PPC. And the old one, you can call it present PPC. Is that cool? Clear? And remember, you have to show, okay, in the first one that you are producing more consumer goods and only a small quantity of capital goods. In the second graph, as you can see, I have shown we are producing a larger quantity, only a very small quantity of consumer goods. That you should show in your graph. This actually has a life lesson for you as well. Like I said, if you use majority of your resources just to eat and enjoy stuff, in the future, your growth will be minimized. But if you use most of your resources for the future, that means investing in capital goods and capital formation, and cut back on present consumption, what's going to happen? You'll be able to see a larger or a very high potential of growth, right? One more point I want to stress on is when they say present consumption, they are referring to production of consumer goods, right? When they say cut back on present consumption, that means they are saying reduction in production of consumer goods. And whenever you see the phrase future consumption, it refers to investment of resources in production of capital goods. So that relationship also you need to understand, the present consumption and future consumption part. So if you cut back on present consumption, the growth potential will be very high. If you don't, it will be very low. Clear? Your answer, you can actually change it. Rather than saying capital goods and consumer goods, you can call it like, if a country allocates more of its resources towards present consumption and less towards future consumption, their growth will be very marginal or none at all. So you can answer in this manner also, using present consumption and future consumption, or you can use consumer goods and capital goods as well. Just wanted to keep that also. Amna, if they allocate more resources towards capital production, you can see a huge growth, whereas here only a very small growth. Okay, I think I'll have to close the window. Right, while I do that, go through the fourth question and let me know how would you have answered that. First of all, tell me whether you know what economic efficiency is. Any idea what's this economic efficiency?
Achieves both production and allocative efficiency.
Can you say it again?
Achieves both production and allocative efficiency.
Okay, good. Right. So we'll look at the question now. Are all points along a PPC or PPF equal in terms of economic efficiency? Right. First of all, you have to answer yes or no. Right. And then they're asking you to explain your answer. So what do you think? First, tell me whether it's a yes or no. Are all points along a PPC equal in terms of economic efficiency? Now, this is a 4-mark question. So you can't just go with only no and then move to the next question. So you have to start with okay, no. And then you have to explain why it's a no. Right? Now, to explain why it's a no, first you have to say what is this economic efficiency and how it's achieved and how it's shown on a PPC. Simply put, economic efficiency on a PPC, based on PPC, when you talk about economic efficiency, it is the point on the PPC where both allocative efficiency and what is the other type of efficiency?
Productive efficiency.
Productive efficiency. So economic efficiency is the point on the PPC where both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency both are achieved. Right? Both are achieved. Only at a point where both of them are achieved, economic efficiency can be achieved. Now, the thing is, when it comes to a production possibilities curve, right? When it comes to a PPC, so you can see here we have a PPC now. Now let's put agricultural products here and industrial products here. Now I'm marking a point here, 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 and here. Let me call this point A, B, C, and D. So do you think at all 4 of these points we are achieving economic efficiency?
No.
Okay, what about others?
No.
Then what are we achieving in all those 4 points?
Production efficiency.
Productive efficiency.
Productive efficiency. Well done, guys. And what is this productive efficiency?
Maximum output from minimum input.
Very good. So productive efficiency is, it's like the condition where we are using our resources in the best possible way, in the most optimum way, right? Where we are getting the best output possible using whatever the resources we have. In other words, we are using our resources in the best possible way. Nothing is wasted, and using whatever we have, we are getting the best output. So that is what productive efficiency is. And remember this, productive efficiency is presented all along the PPC curve. Any point on the PPC presents productive efficiency. Right? This point A, point B, point C, point D, all of them are showing us productive efficiency. Allocative efficiency means what?
Production most preferred by the society.
The point at which the society prefers.
Right. Allocative efficiency means, now here you have point A, point B, point C, point D. No, all of them are showing us different combinations of output of agricultural goods and industrial goods. Now, out of all these combinations, there might be a combination which is most preferred by the society, which is most preferred by society. Now that combination is what we call, what is it? allocative
Allocative
efficiency,
efficiency.
the combination of output where the society's, let's put it in this way, the society is happiest or most satisfied. Now that's what allocative efficiency is, the output combination which is most preferred by the society. That is allocative efficiency. Now, for allocative efficiency to be achieved, there is a condition to be met. What is that condition?
Marginal benefit equal marginal cost.
Marginal benefit equals marginal cost. You can state the same thing in a slightly different way. How is that?
Price equals marginal cost.
Price equals marginal cost. Right? Price equals marginal cost. So remember, this marginal benefit and price are pretty much the same thing. Marginal benefit means when you buy or when you consume an extra unit of a product, what is the value you get? That is the marginal benefit. And it will be equal to the price you pay for it. Right? If the benefit you get from a product is worth 150 rupee, you won't go and pay 500 for that. No, you will pay 150 only. Right? So marginal benefit and price are the same thing. So remember this. Now, productive efficiency is all along the PPC. You can find it, but allocative efficiency is only at one point, because the society can be only one, right? Out of the 4 here, there's only one combination that is most preferred by the society. So you see here, productive efficiency is all along the curve. Allocative efficiency is only at one point. That means economic efficiency can be seen where productive efficiency and allocative efficiency both are happening at the same time. That means economic efficiency is always achieved when allocative efficiency is achieved, because allocative efficiency is obviously going to be on a PPC curve. When that happens, automatically, naturally, you will see productive efficiency also, right? Productive efficiency also. Now, that is the theory behind this question. What is economic efficiency? What is productive efficiency? What is allocative efficiency? We'll talk about the structure of the answer now. Now, for this question, you don't have to actually draw a PPC, right? First of all, you start with no, and then you say economic efficiency is achieved when productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are achieved at the same time. That's how you first start, right? Economic efficiency is achieved when both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are simultaneously achieved. And then you simply go out and say productive efficiency means, simply, you don't have to write a huge definition, simply say what is productive efficiency. Productive efficiency refers to resources being optimally used, giving the best output possible. It can be presented all along the PPC curve. Those 2 points you have to give regarding productive efficiency. Productive efficiency means the best output achieved with the lowest use of resources. You can write it in different ways. Resources used in the most optimal way, giving the best output. And it can be seen all along the PPC curve. Allocative efficiency shows the most preferred combination of the society. It is achieved where MB is equal to MC. Only at one point on the PPC. And then you go out and say, where this allocative efficiency and productive efficiency are achieved, only on that point, economic efficiency is achieved. That means economic efficiency, when you go throughout a PPC curve, is not equal, right? Only at one point where both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are achieved at the same time, at that point only, economic efficiency will be maximized. Economic efficiency will be maximized. Is that clear? As you can see, the question is about, are all points along the production possibility frontier equal in terms of economic efficiency? No. Right? You start with a no, and then you say economic efficiency is achieved when productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are achieved at the same time. Okay. Or you can say economic efficiency is maximized when productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are achieved at the same time. Productive efficiency can be seen all throughout the PPC curve, whereas allocative efficiency only on one point. So where you have both allocative and productive efficiency, only on that point, economic efficiency is maximized. On all the other points, it might be less than that. So there's no one way to answer it, but what I said is the core answer. You'll have to somehow write in your words, because obviously you can't memorize all the words I just said. No. Somehow take that core idea of these three concepts you see here on screen and slightly explain them, and that's it. Is that clear? Everyone, is that clear or not?
Clear, sir.
Ifta, Fawaz, Hanis,
Clear, sir.
okay. Today Rimaz, Halana are missing now. Are they here?
Yes, sir.
Right. Then we'll move on to the next question. Are market economies necessarily capitalist? Are command economies necessarily socialist? Explain your answer. What do you think? Are market economies necessarily capitalist?
No,
So simply, the question is about market economic system and capitalist economic system. Are they the same? Command economic system, socialist economic system, are they the same? That's the question. What do you think? Yes or no?
no, they can be capitalist or socialist, but necessarily no.
Okay, good. Others? So this is how it's going to be. So you start with, first they asked you, are market economies always necessarily capitalist? Right? Now, to understand the answer for this, right? To understand the answer for this, you need to have a proper understanding of how we define market economic system and how we define capitalist economic system, right? So can you give me the definition of market economic system? Yeah, that's
Use
how you
of
should.
private property ownership and price mechanism.
Private property ownership and price mechanism. You're saying that is market economic system. Then what is this capitalist economic system then?
Resources are owned by private.
Resources are owned by private parties. So for market also we say that no. Market mechanism also, the definition was private ownership and price mechanism. So that is also kind of almost both the definitions are the same, isn't it? What is the difference then? So the answer to this question is, it's kind of a little, how to put it? It's not confusing as long as you know the basics properly. So this is how it works. You see, when we classify economic systems, right? When we classify economic systems, we mainly use three classifications. Under them only we classify economic systems. One is ownership of factors, who owns the resources in the system. The second one, the decision coordinating mechanism. And the third one is incentives. Mainly, we use the first two, ownership of factors and decision coordinating mechanism, when it comes to classification of economic systems. And you see here, ownership of factors, there can be three subcategories under this classification of ownership of factors. That is, an economic system can have private ownership, where the resources are owned by the private parties, or public ownership, where the resources are owned by pretty much the government. And then an economic system where it's part private, part public. Now, first tell me, if an economic system has this private ownership, what is this economic system called? What do we give? What's the name we give for this economic system?
Market economic system.
Private ownership.
Capitalist.
Market economic
Market
system.
or capitalist.
Capitalist.
It is capitalist economic system. Because when we say this word capitalist, it refers to resources being owned by private parties. That's what the definition of capitalist economic system is, right? Whereas now, when we say market, then how do we arrive at the definition for market economic system? From where does it come? It actually comes from the next
Allocate
one,
gas resource.
the decision coordinating mechanism. In an economic system, if the decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism, that economic system is called market economic system. So you see here, when it comes to classification of economic systems, when we classify an economic system based on ownership of resources under private ownership, we say that economic system is capitalist. Whereas when we classify economic systems based on decision coordinating mechanism, if the decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism, then only that economic system will be called as market economic system. There is a distinct difference between these two. There is a distinct difference between these two. But after this point, when we study market economic system, right, when you go below in the handout or in your respective, in your class, you might have received a different handout, where when you start studying these market economy and command economy separately, the features of market economic system, when we talk about it, we say private ownership, right? We say private ownership, and decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism. Commonly, this is what we have in the syllabus. And generally also in a country, if you see private ownership, price mechanism will be the decision coordinating mechanism. But necessarily that's not always the case. It's not like a must here. When there is private ownership, there should always be price mechanism. There's no law like that, right? Commonly, this is what you see. Market economic system is where price mechanism makes the decisions, and in that economic system, resources will be normally owned by private parties. That's why if you have a look at the definition I have given here, market economic system is the economic system which solves basic economic problems based on price determined by market and market demand and supply. I have not given the ownership part because that is where students get confused. So again, market economic system means it's a classification of economic system based on decision coordinating mechanism, where if an economy has price mechanism being the decision coordinating mechanism, that economic system is called market economic system. That economic system is called market economic system. Whereas capitalist economic system is a classification of economic system under ownership of resources, where if the ownership of resources belongs to private parties, if you see private ownership, now that economic system is capitalist economic system. So they are different. There is a difference between these two. Is that difference clear to you now? Earlier, you might not have thought of it this way, but now is it clear? Now, this is how it works, okay? When I teach this in chapter 1 itself, students who were in my class might know this because I would have told this when we went through this. In a question, normally when we say in your syllabus, when we say market economy, we refer to price mechanism being the decision coordinating mechanism, and ownership of resources, we assume it's private. We take this market and capitalist economic systems are the same. That's how commonly the syllabus goes. But here in the question, they have specifically asked whether this market economic system and capitalist economic system are necessarily always the same. So you see, when they ask it like that, are they necessarily always the same? The answer is no. The answer is no. There is a difference. If you want to differentiate, you can actually differentiate market economic system and capitalist economic system. That is what I have done here. But commonly when we say market, we refer to capitalist. It's, both these phrases, words are used interchangeably in specifically our part of the world. But if they ask you, is there a difference? There is a difference. Right? It's like this. Let's say there are twin brothers here, right? Identical twins. Now, are they the same? Let's say one person's name is, let's say David, and the other person's name is John or something. Now, both of them are twin brothers and identical twins. Now, when you normally talk about them, you say both look the same. Right? They are the same. They have the same characteristics. That's how we normally think about twins. But if you ask their parents, they might be like, no, there's a difference between these two people. Right? Or if you even, get along with them, eventually you'll find out the differences. That's how this is. Right? Normally we say they are the same, but if someone asks you, is there a distinct difference between those two? There is. So that is what's happening here. Market economic system, capitalist economic system are not necessarily the same. There is a difference. Market economic system is a classification of economic system under price mechanism. Sorry, decision coordinating mechanism, where price mechanism is the decision coordinating mechanism. Capitalist economic system is a classification of economic system under ownership of resources, where resources are owned by private parties. Commonly, also you have to continue here, commonly or normally, if you see private ownership, you also see price mechanism. But that's not how it's always. Sometimes you can see price mechanism along with public ownership also. Price mechanism along with public ownership you can see. Sometimes you can see private ownership along with central planning authority. So this mix and matching is possible, but commonly, normally, market and capital are almost thought to be the same, but they are not. So this is how your answer is supposed to be. So your answer for this question will be a little bigger than the normal other ones. So first of all, like I said, you start with, let me write it down for you, type it down for you. Market economic systems are a classification under decision coordinating mechanisms, where the decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism. Capitalist economic systems are a classification under ownership of resources, where resources are owned privately. This is the basic answer you'll have to give. Now itself we have explained that they are not the same. Normally, if private ownership is seen in a country, in an economy, price mechanism will be the decision coordinating mechanism, but not necessarily, right? How do you spell necessarily? I just lost it. Is this correct? Sometimes private ownership can be seen along with central planning authority. Price mechanism can be seen along with public ownership. Is this clear? So when I show it like this, it's just 2-3 points. So just go through this answer. Is this clear? Now this is just half, we are just halfway through the answer, because there's another part. Yeah, we have to show command economic system and socialist economic system are not the same. But if you know, and if you have written down the answer for the first part, market and capitalist, it's the same template now. I can just rewrite the same answer I have written here. All I have to do is where I wrote market, I'm going to just put command. Where I wrote capitalist, I'm going to just put socialist. So this is how it's going to be. Command economic system is a classification under decision coordinating mechanism, where the decision coordinating mechanism is central planning authority, or we call it planned mechanism. Socialist economic system now is a classification under ownership of resources, where resources are owned publicly. Normally, public ownership is there in a country. You will be seeing central planning mechanism. You will be seeing central planning authority making the decisions, but not necessarily. There can be a mix and match going on. Sometimes you can write the same thing, but I'll change it. public ownership can be seen along with price mechanism, or central planning authority can be seen along with private ownership. So like I said, the same answer, the same structure, you have to just change few words here and there. But you can only answer this if you know all these fundamental concepts properly and perfectly. Otherwise, there's no way you can answer such a question. Right? There's no way you can answer such a question. But it's not that hard also. Actually, this is a question from, if I'm not wrong, 2014 or 15, I'm not sure. If it's 2014, that's my year. I remember, as if I did answer this question, but I'm not so sure now because I've been teaching these questions every year now for the past 5-6 years. So I don't know whether I did this question in my A level, so I just taught it for someone else for their A level. So if I go back to the handout here, it all comes down to this part, classification of economic system. Simply put, under ownership of resources, if an economy has private ownership of resources, what is that economic system called?
Capitalist.
Capitalist economic system. If you see public ownership, what is that called?
Socialist.
Socialist. Private,
Socialist.
part private and part public ownership means?
Mixed.
Mixed economic system. Then under decision coordinating mechanism, if price mechanism or decisions are made using price means, what is that economic system called?
Market.
Market mixed.
Economic system. If central planning authority makes the decision,
Command.
command economic system. If part price mechanism, part central planning authority,
Mixed
Economic system.
economic system. So now this question talks about how capitalist economic system is not always market economic system. Right? The idea comes from simply here. Capitalist economic system is a classification under ownership of resources, where resources are owned privately. Whereas market economic system is a classification under decision coordinating mechanism, where the decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism. Right? That's how they are not always the same. Generally, when there is price mechanism, you see private ownership. Or when there is private ownership, you see price mechanism. Generally, but not always. Sometimes private ownership can be there, but decision can be made by this central planning authority. Sometimes price mechanism can be there, but decision can be made by this. Resources can be owned by public government. That can also happen. So this is how always capitalist and market economic systems are not the same. Same template you use for socialist and command. Socialist economic system, you say, is under ownership of resources where public ownership is seen. Command economic system is a classification under decision coordinating mechanism where central planning authority is the one who is making the decision. Normally, if there's public ownership, central planning authority is there, but not always the same. Sometimes public ownership will be there, but price can be made by decision can be made by price mechanism. Actually, there is an economic system in your syllabus also where you see public ownership along with price mechanism. What is the name given to that economic system? Economic system where resources are owned by publicly, resources are owned publicly, but decision is made by price mechanism.
Social market. Socialist market.
What is it? Is it social market or socialist market?
Socialist market.
Others? So what do you call this economic system where you see public ownership of resources, but decisions are made by price mechanism?
Socialist market economy.
I only hear the girls talking now. What happened to the boys? Humble? Nazit? No, Sadhada Kana. Fazlan is here. They are shy, maybe. I don't think so. They're the ones who normally talk in the class physically. Nazid, is that true? You guys are not talking because you guys are feeling shy or something. Now, this is also actually part of your syllabus, okay? Public ownership means we call that economic system as socialist economic system. And price mechanism means we call that economic system as market economic system. So here you are seeing both of them together, no? Public ownership plus price mechanism. So that economic system is called socialist market economic system, not social market economic system. That's different. Socialist market economic system. Right? So see, you can see here, when we say socialist market economic system, you see public ownership and price mechanism. Public ownership along with price mechanism. But normally all we said was earlier, we thought private ownership means always price mechanism. That's why we thought market and capitalist are the same, no? Because we always thought private ownership means always price mechanism. That's not true. Because here in your syllabus itself, it's there. So probably in your handout also it might be there, but students who are in my class, if you go here, when we go through mixed market economy and socialist market economy. Here you might have written that part of the definition down. Clear? Shall we move on to the next question? So I think the answer, someone has unmuted themselves. Make sure you're muted. You're not asking any questions. Right. So next question. Okay, so we are done with all 5 here. So if you got this one for your A levels, out of 20, how many would you have received? So Rizma is asking, what is the definition for socialist market economic system? Simple. Economic system where resources are owned by public, but decisions are made by, or decision coordinating mechanism is price mechanism. That economic system is called socialist market economic system. That's all. Is that clear, Isma? An economic system where decisions are made by price mechanism, resources are owned publicly. Right. Now, shall we look at another chapter 1 question today, or shall we move on to something related to chapter 2 and then come to chapter 1 question next week? What do you guys say? Now I have 50-50 here. 50% of you have said chapter 1, 50% of you have said go with chapter 2. What shall I do? So we'll go with chapter 1 itself. So we'll finish this off, and then from next class we can do the chapter 2 question then. Okay, agreed? Right. So first question, very simple question. What is PPC? And then list the assumptions you make when you draw a production possibility curve. So list me the assumptions quickly. Right. So first of all, as you can see, what is PPC? Now that's a very basic definition you'll have to give. And the definition is something you might have learned already. And let me see whether I can show it. PPC. Yeah, you have the definition here. The curve that connects various combination outputs of two goods in an economy when all the resources are fully employed with the best available technology in a given period of time. Now that is PPC. And the assumptions are given here in this box, as you can see. Only two goods are produced, resource availability will be constant, and resources are limited also. full employment of resources, technology remains constant, and all of this is drawn for a certain period of time. It can be for 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. So these are the assumptions you make when you draw production possibilities curve, right? These are the assumptions you draw when you draw a production possibility curve. So probably I believe everyone would have received full marks for this question. Is that a yes or no? Is that a yes or no? All 4 marks, yes. Right. And remember, you don't have to give a word by word definition of what you are seeing here. You have to make sure when you're writing the definition, you have to say, obviously, it's a curve, right? That shows or that connects various combination of these 2 goods, you have to say, right? 2 goods are very important because it's part of the definition assumption. And you have to say full employment in some way, you have to mention it. And also you have to say, we are using the best available technology in a given period. So I have given the definition in the, most, how to put it, the shortest possible way, right? Even when I look at it, I don't think I'll be able to cut down any words here. I have given the definition in the shortest possible way. So all those words, phrases are supposed to be in there. Right. So that's production possibilities curve, and then you give the assumptions also. So they are just straightforward, direct theory. You just take them and write them. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Moving on to the next question. It's just a 2-mark question here. And here they are asking you, what causes production possibility frontier to shift outward? What causes production possibility frontier, a production possibility curve, to shift outward? What do you think the answer for that question is?
Economic growth.
Economic growth. Okay, yes.
Technological advancement.
Technological advancement, right?
Injection.
Injection of what?
New resources or some kind of.
Right, injection of new resources or increasing the resource availability. But the right way to answer is, you have to mention these 2 points. Factors deciding production possibility curve. The factors that decides where the production possibility curve will be, how it will change, whether it will go out or come in. It's decided by mainly 2 things. One is the resource availability, and the other one is the resource productivity. Resource availability and resource productivity. Now, if the curve is shifting out, that means how much resources we have, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, they are supposed to go up. Increase in resource availability. Increase in resource availability. What you guys said was increase in labor, increase in land, increase in capital. They are examples. Right? They are actually examples of resource availability going up, that they will cause the possibility curve to shift out. But the question, they didn't ask you to give examples. They asked you, when will production possibility curve shift out? And you see, they are giving only 2 marks. So your point is supposed to be only 2. And the 2 points you are supposed to give are the determinants of production possibilities curve. One is resource availability should increase, and the second one is resource productivity should increase. And productivity is decided by the technology, human capital, and then we have what do you call division of labor and specialization. They all come in this. And in resource availability part, we have the land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So when the resources available in an economy goes up, curve shifts out. when the resources are still the same, but if the productivity of resources goes up, then also curve will shift out. Is that clear? So 2 marks, very basic, simple answer. What causes production possibility frontier to shift out? Increase in availability of resources, increase in factor resource productivity. That's it. Next question. What does increasing opportunity cost mean? What are the implications of this for the shape of the PPC? So tell me first, what are the implications of this concept for the shape of the PPC?
Concave.
Concave to what? Right, the PPC curve will be concave to the origin. That means the PPC curve will look like this, something like this, to that effect. So if you see increasing opportunity cost, this is how the PPC curve will look like. So what are the implications? You can simply say the PPC curve will take the shape of a curve which is concave to the origin. But you have to first say, what is this increasing opportunity cost means, right? That is again something you can answer only if you know what it is. So when you study these opportunity cost part or the shapes or types of PPC, you have one straight line PPC or PPC under constant opportunity cost, and then you have PPC under increasing opportunity cost. So increasing opportunity cost means simple. When the production of a product is increased in equal quantities or equal amounts, if the foregone amount in the other good keeps on increasing, it's called increasing opportunity cost. So if you have a look at the table given below, you can see here rice, wheat. Initially rice 0, wheat production 18 million kilograms. Now, when you produce 1 unit of rice, here you are losing 1 unit of wheat, right? Next time, when you increase rice production again by 1 unit, but for this 1 unit, you are losing 2 units of wheat. From 2 to 3, again, you are increasing rice production by just 1, but wheat production drops by 3 units. Again, only 1 unit increase, but this time 5 unit drop. From 4 to 5, again, from 4, you are increasing, producing 1 more unit, but this time you see a 7 unit drop in wheat. So in rice, you are increasing rice production by equal amounts, 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. From 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, you are increasing rice production by 1 unit. But every time you produce 1 unit of rice, you are losing. What's happening? What you lose in wheat keeps on increasing. At first, for the first unit of rice, in wheat, you lost 1. For the second unit of rice, you lost 2 wheat. For the third unit, you lost 3 million kilos of wheat. For the fourth unit, you lost 5 million kilos of wheat. For the fifth unit, again only 1 unit, but here you have lost 7 million kilos of wheat. So that is increasing opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is When you produce one more unit of rice, here on the other side, when you produce more units of rice, in wheat, you are losing out. That is opportunity cost in production. And here, that opportunity cost is for every unit of rice produced, the opportunity cost in wheat is going up and up and up. That's what increasing opportunity cost means. So that is what the definition you are supposed to give. When the production of a product is increased in equal amounts, if the foregone amount in the other good keeps on increasing, it's called increasing opportunity cost. If you add the initial part to it, now it will be called increasing opportunity cost, PPC, because you can see if you read the black initial parts, that's the definition pretty much of production possibility curve. When an economy produces two different goods, it should be 2 TWO, two different goods with full utilization of resources and at best available technology in a given period of time. When the production of a product is increased in equal amounts, if the foregone amount in the other good keeps on increasing, then it's called increasing opportunity cost, PPC. If you go up to constant opportunity cost, here you can see clothes production goes up by 2 units here, but in rice, you are seeing 8 unit drop. Then again, you are seeing another 2 units increase in clothes production. Here again, you are seeing 8 units drop. Again, 2, 8 lost. Increased by 2, decreased by 8. Increased by another 2, decreased by another 8. Here you can see every time you produce 2 units of clothes, you are losing exactly only 8 units. Whereas earlier, it was 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Here, it's 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. You see, the increase is constant. There it was 1, 1, 1, 1. Here, it's 2, 2, 2, 2. What you lose earlier kept on increasing. Here, it remained the same. So this is called constant opportunity cost. This is called constant opportunity cost. What is constant opportunity cost? When the production of a product is increased in equal quantities, if the decrease in the other good is constant, it's constant opportunity cost. So your answer is first, when you increase one production, how much you lose on the other product. If it keeps on increasing, then it's increasing opportunity cost. What are the implications? The PPC will be bowed out, concave to the origin. You get 4 marks for that. If you have time, draw the PPC also. Right, draw the PPC also and tell this is how the PPC will look if increasing opportunity cost is observed. Is that clear? How about others? Everyone okay with this? So pretty much this whole question is about PPCs, no? Whole 20-mark question is about production possibility curve. The implication is simple, Rizma. The PPC curve will be concave to the origin. You know, like I said, when you're doing your A level, you don't know how the scheme is going to be made. So what does increasing opportunity cost mean? You might think, okay, there are 2 parts to this question. Each part will get you 2 marks. What does the increasing opportunity cost mean? You write it, you think it will give you 2 marks. What are the implications of this concept for the shape? When you write only increasing opportunity cost means PPC curve will be concave to the origin. When you write that, you might not feel that is sufficient to get you 2 marks. That's why I told you, draw the graph also. Draw the increasing opportunity cost PPC as well. Then you'll be satisfied. You won't have any doubts whether you'll lose a mark or not. Next question, draw the production possibilities frontier for a country facing increasing opportunity costs for producing paddy and textile. Show how the PPF changes given the following events. So you have 4 events given and you have to show them in PPCs. That means you'll have to draw 4 different production possibilities curve. For the first one, you can see a new and better fertilizer is invented. So how would you show that on a PPC? What do you think? First, let's get the basics right. So they are saying we should draw a PPC where what are the products we should put here? Paddy and textile. Paddy and textile. Okay. Now, should I draw the PPC curve like this? Is that correct? It's not. Why? They have said in the question, we are supposed to draw an increasing opportunity cost PPC, something like this. Increasing opportunity cost PPC, concave to the origin. Then I have to name it as OK PPC. Let me mark this as point A, B PPC. Right. Then, according to the question, they are saying first situation is a new and improved, a better fertilizer is being introduced. Now, when a new and a better fertilizer is introduced, will that have any change in how much we can create in textile? You take all these new fertilizers, you don't give anything to paddy, you just bring the whole thing, whole set of new and improved fertilizers and put it in textile production. Will the maximum amount of textile production that we can produce be increased?
No.
No.
No, right? Because fertilizers put in any textile garment machinery is not gonna increase production in any way. If you do that, it might reduce the production actually. So the maximum amount of textile we can produce if you put all the land, labor, capital along with this new fertilizer, you won't see a change in textile. Textile will remain the same, the maximum amount we can produce. But with paddy, now there is a possibility of seeing an increase. Why? Because we now have better fertilizers and new fertilizers that we didn't have before. That means if you add those fertilizers in paddy production, paddy's maximum output can change. It can go up. So the new PPC curve will look something like this. You can draw something similar to this, but I believe yours will be a little bit neater. And what this shows is simply, you can see in textile production, there's no increase. That means the maximum textile you can produce is still the same, but you are seeing an increase only on paddy side. So let's call this C. So what has happened as introduction of new fertilizer was put in use, only paddy side of production will see an increase. So PPC curve AB will shift out and become CB. PPC curve AB will shift out and become CB. Only the paddy side you will see an increase or shift in the PPC, because we only saw the fertilizer being introduced can be used in paddy production, not in textile. Is that clear? So you have to draw and better to give a small description saying only PPC curve will shift on paddy side and this AB PPC will become CB PPC. and make sure you give a name for that PPC. Let's call it PPC2. Is that clear? Quick, quick, quick. Right. We'll look at the next one. What is the situation? There is a surge in the quantity of labor which can be employed in both sectors. So you see here, when they say there is a surge in the quantity of labor which can be employed in both sectors, that means what will happen to the PPC?
Shift outward in both sides.
I think Hani, there's an issue with your connection. I think I can't hear you clearly. Here, since the labor that is coming in, right, it's an increase, right? There's a surge in the quantity of labor which can be employed in both sectors, right? There's a sudden spike, there's a sudden increase in how much labor we have. That means both will improve equally, kind of. So what you have to do is kind of parallelly shift the PPC curve out. Parallelly shift the PPC curve out. Let's call this point C and D. So as a result of this labor that can be used in both sectors is seeing an increase, PPC curve AB will shift out and become PPC curve CD. Is that clear? Is that clear? Others, quick, quick, quick. Is that clear? What's the next situation then? A severe drought results in a 10% decrease in usable farm. A severe drought results in a 10% decrease in usable farmland. So this time again, you are seeing a drop in land, but how will you show it on the PPC?
The PPC will shift inside only in paddy side.
Exactly. Why? Because they have said farmland, there's a drop. If they have just said land, there's a decrease in usable land, then you might have to think about reducing on both sides. But here they specifically said only farmlands are seeing a drop. That means the highest amount of textile produced will remain the same, because textile is not, garment factories don't do production on farmland, right? So the PPC might look something like this. So here you can see there's a drop in the PPC. The PPC is shifting in, but only on the paddy side, whereas the textile side, the highest amount is still the same. So as a result of a drop in usable farmland, PPC only shifts on the paddy side, leading to PPC AB shifting inside and becoming PPC CB. Is that clear? The last one, a new technology is invented in the textile industry to reduce cost of production. So what would happen now? How will you show that on the PPC?
The curve shifts outward only in textile side.
Exactly, that's all. Why? Because they're saying the cost of production on textile side is dropping. That means the resources that we use for textile is now coming down. That means whatever we have can produce more stuff now. If you put all the resources that's available, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, earlier we were getting this output, right? Let's say that is about 100 units. Now they are saying with this new technology, we can use the resources in a better way. That's what they're saying. We are seeing a drop in the cost of production. That means if you put all the land, labor, capital, earlier you got 100 units. Now you can get more than 100. Let's call this point C. But they're saying the technology improved in textile side only. Nothing happened in paddy side. So paddy, the highest amount you can produce will remain the same. But when it comes to textile, you'll see an increase, just like this. Something like this. I'm not going to draw it again. Let me leave it like this. PPC number 2. So here, production possibility curve AB shifts out on only textile side and becomes production possibility curve CB. As the improvement in the technology only impacts textile. Clear? Nazir, is that clear? Right. Last question. State the difference between productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. We already talked about this in the previous question about productive efficiency, allocative efficiency. This time, you don't have to talk about economic efficiency at all. You just say what is productive efficiency and what are the conditions required to achieve it. What is allocative efficiency? What are the conditions required to achieve it? So productive efficiency means, I'll just quickly explain it again. It's a situation where all the resources are fully employed and the best output is achieved. Right? All the resources are fully employed and we are achieving the maximum, probably the best output that we can achieve. That is productive efficiency. Another way to say that is maximum output received at the least possible cost. Right? Maximum output we can achieve only by using all the resources without wastage. And how can we achieve the least cost? By not wasting any resource. That is what productive efficiency is. And to achieve productive efficiency, there are pretty much 2 conditions. What are those 2 conditions?
Full employment and full production.
Full employment and full production. These 2 should be achieved for productive efficiency to be achieved. And since we are talking about differences, you can also say this productive efficiency is presented all along the PPC curve. Any point on the PPC shows productive efficiency. Then allocative efficiency means what? It's the resource allocation, or it's the allocation of resources which is most preferred by the society. Which is most preferred by the society. And then you say the condition. It's achieved when marginal benefit is equal to marginal cost. In other words, price is equal to marginal cost. And it can be seen only on one point on the PPC, not all throughout the PPC. That's it. You get 4 marks for that, pretty much. Is that clear? Is that clear? So pretty much that's about it. I think we have done, so here we have done 5 PPC related questions. And in the previous one also, we did 2 PPC related questions. Great. So I was thinking earlier, because we focused on the first part and the second part of chapter 1 and didn't focus a lot on PPC. So today that is done. Great. So to finish off the class, I'll take you through this question and then we'll wind up the session. Okay. So this is chapter 2. Tell me the answer for this one. What factors are held constant in drawing a market supply curve? Any idea what the answer is, or no idea? Aisha, Rabia, Minha, Sharmita, what do you think the answer is? Humble? Pretty good. So what's happening here is when you are drawing a market supply curve, so this is what a supply curve is now. So you have the price axis, 0, the quantity supplied axis, and the curve will look something like this. So when you are drawing this curve, one thing is changing. Obviously, out of the factors that decide supply, what is the factor that keeps on changing when you're drawing a supply curve? If you take this point, you have a certain price and a quantity supplied. If you take another point, you can see the price has changed. The price has changed. Likewise, you go up another point, you can see you have a different price now. So the only factor of supply, the only determinant of supply that keeps on changing when you are drawing a supply curve is the price of the particular good. Because, right, is the price of the particular good. Why? Because a supply curve is the graphical representation of the supply law. That means the relationship, the positive relationship between price of the product and quantity supplied. So the graph, this curve shows the relationship between these 2 factors, while all the other factors are held constant. What are the other factors of supply? We have related products price. What else? Cost of production, government policies, future expectation of price, number of sellers in the market. What else?
Cost.
Cost of production, I think it's given here. Anything else? You can think
Consumer taste and preference.
consumer taste and preference is a determinant of demand. Here we are talking about supplies determinants which will remain unchanged. So that's the part you need to be very careful with. Okay, the determinants of demand, that's a separate set of topic. And then here we have a separate set of determinants for supply, right? Anything else you can think of? Expectation is given, government policies are given, tax and subsidy, cost of production is given, related products prices are given. There's another one you can tell actually. What is that? We'll see. Very good, Kizra. Technology, right? And obviously number of sellers in the market. And there can be other factors also. You can say some other factors that you can think of. Maybe the producer is like having some other reasons for supplying different quantities. You can tell them, right? Like Corona came in. For if this supply curve is for producer of, if the supply is for masks, surgical masks, now supply went up. How? One reason is because Corona came in. And since to stop Corona from spreading, masks are used. That is one reason why supply of surgical masks went up. So those come under these other factors. And one thing you remember, this number of sellers you can write down only because here they have said in the question, the supply curve is market supply curve. If they have given, okay, individual supply curve or supply of an institute, then you can't say number of sellers as a point. If you say it, you will lose marks. You will lose marks. So remember that point. So here you can add it because they have said in the question, what factors are held constant in drawing a market supply curve? All the other determinants except price of the particular good are held constant. They are technology, government policies, number of sellers in the market, cost of production, price of related goods such as alternative options for the producer. So you can write, actually they have asked only 4, but write down as much as you can. 4 is enough. 1 will get you 1 mark, but write as much as you can so that you'll be getting the full marks anyway. Is that clear? All good? You can write expectation of price, future expectation of price also. All good? All cool? For next week, attempt the rest of the questions you have. We'll discuss it in next week's class. So in this, you can see it's not just chapter 2, chapter 3 questions are also included. So attempt them. Anyhow, I will take you through each of those questions by next week. Okay, text that is also included, but it's good for you anyway, no? That's chapter 3 stuff, but anyhow, I'll take you through those parts as well. With that, I think we can end the session now. I started the class with 98% in my laptop. Now it's 18%. Pretty good, I'd say. You're most welcome, guys. And yeah, see you all next week. Have a great week ahead. Do we have exam tomorrow? Yes, Nazid. Exam is there tomorrow. Chapter 7. Paper is ready. It will be up by 2 p.m. tomorrow on Edmodo. You can go and attempt the question. Okay, that's for 2022 students. 2023 students, you can't do it because it's chapter 7 question. Right. See you all next week.